So I think most of us have been acquainted with the ESIP that we ran in 2020. There have been certain changes with regard to the earlier version of the presentations. So one thing is that it was earlier in a small screen mode. Now it is converted to wide screen mode. And then looking at the response that we're getting through the student development workshops or while running the content in the colleges, we try to make some changes. And also we try to assess how much content can be shared in how much time, and practically how much time the faculty is able to get. So what we have done, we have assumed that the faculty is going to run the sessions for 1.5 hours, and the faculty is going to get 15 such sessions during the induction program. With that context, we have developed the or modified the content here. So session 1 is basically meant for welcoming and introducing each other. So first of all, the faculty has to introduce oneself. So the name, place to which I belong, the educational background, what is the role in the college or university, even family background can be shared briefly. And then sharing of some incident from life, something which has transformed oneself. So this can be shared. And then mentioning that I will be your faculty co-explorer for this UHV orientation. And then we can allow the students to share about themselves. And Rajul Bhaiya's attempt has always been that in place of the students sharing about oneself, if we get to know each other, or if we try to get to know each other, it's better to share about the other. So maybe one student can share about the student sitting on the side. So one can share about the name, the place uh, from where the student belongs, the department, one hobby of interest, the family background, and how he or she relates to the family and society, or the aspirations in life, expectations from education. Certain things like this can be shared. So if we mention to the students that we are going to have the introduction in this manner, so maybe before they sit for the session, they would like to learn about at least 1 or 2 students. So that will help them better within the introduction in this session. So that will take time. Only this much has been kept. Now the home assignment could be like get to know as many of your batchmates as you can, and you should be able to introduce at least 5 of them in detail. And then they can be asked to make a list of their aspirations and concerns. So on one hand, we can write our aspirations, our desires, and then the concerns we have or the problem that we are facing today. So we can share some example here and allow the student to go further and make that complete list. I think I have 1 hour, 20 minutes left. So in this limited time, I'll try to cover all the 7 presentations, and something which has been retained, I will not spend much time on that, and things that we have modified, we can spend more time on that. So a common note to the faculty here is that every student has the possibility to reach to their potential as a human being. So this is something that we need to understand ourselves and also share to the students. So we'll see that when the student comes to the college, they have different ranks, they have different backgrounds. Okay, some may be over-evaluating themselves, some may be under-evaluating themselves, some may be overconfident, some may be diffident. So things like this would be there, But with the clarity of the potential, we can try to help the students know about their potential. And also, as we move gradually, the basic aspiration and the program to fulfill it. So for this, we have to understand ourselves, our aspirations and concerns, other people, other things around with which we interact, our relationships with oneself, with other people, and with the things around us. We can also note that it is possible to understand because the need to understand is innate in every human being, and the potential to understand is intrinsic to human being. The essential things to understand are definite. So this is something that we have to internalize. We have to see within, and this is not something to be done during the session. This is something that we have to contemplate upon and try to look within so that we are able to have this kind of clarity before we go to conduct such a session among the students. Then we'll use a process of self-exploration for this. You simply have to pay attention and explore into the proposals. Let the time in this institution be a time of intense and joyous exploration. UHV is an exploration into it so that the student can discover their full potential, develop a holistic plan for realizing it, and take some steps towards it. So I think as a UHV volunteer, we are well acquainted with these points, isn't it? In fact, we might be able to see even further and deeper than this. So that is very good to see. But this much at least can be clear to us. And for this, we'll try to discover our aspirations and articulate our concerns. We can slowly realize that we all have the same basic aspirations. We have to understand to fulfill our aspirations. We all have some concerns, some problems. This can be different for different students. And to resolve any problem or concern also, we need to understand. The process to understand is simply to pay attention. We can easily do that. We can understand, realize our aspirations and resolve our concerns. For example, find out if it is true that whatever you have paid attention to has revealed itself to you. For example, maths seemed so difficult, but now you know it because you paid attention to it. So we have to essentially make the student feel that the student has that innate potential, only that the student may not be paying attention. So the student have to pay attention, and the potential to pay attention is already there in the student. And we can give some examples that by paying attention, how we come to understand. And also it is our basic requirement to understand the reality as it is. So the more we understand the reality, we are comfortable with it. We do not have doubts and confusions, and we all have the potential to see that reality. In this UHE module, we'll go further. We'll go over this process at 4 levels: individual, family, society, and nature. So like we can make a list of aspirations regarding self as an individual, about family, friends, and other people, something related to society, societal systems in the natural environment. And then we can list also our concerns regarding self as an individual, about family, friends, other people, related to society, societal norms in the natural environment. So as we keep on reiterating that this whole process of self-exploration is essentially a process of dialogue between what I am and what I really want to be, isn't it? And to explore this further, we need to uh, realize our full potential. And this is where the universal human values has to play a significant role. And there are already recordings of ESIP 2020. We can go and have a look at that. So this is about session 1. So it will depend upon the number of students that are admitted in the first year. So typically we have a batch of 60 students and we have 1.5 hours of time. So we can use some creativity here also to be able to get to know about the students. So maybe like 1.5 hours time is there. So we can be able to give 1 minute or 1.5 minute to the student, and then we can discuss further. So this kind of attempt can be made. Any questions regarding session 1? Okay, I think we are.
Namaste, Bhaiya. I just one comment only. When we say initially in the first session, in the introduction part, we give this assignment to write these aspirations, concerns, etc., their achievements, etc. So it is also good, I think, to define what do we mean by this aspiration, concern, and achievements. Maybe sometimes students may be confused regarding this. What is the meaning of aspiration, concern, and achievements?
Yes, we are. So in fact, we have hidden that slide here. So earlier we had 3 columns: aspirations, achievements, and concerns. But this time we have omitted the column for achievement. We are just targeting at aspirations and concerns or problems. And we can do some illustration here.
Yes.
So maybe we can make a list of 5 such aspirations and 5 such concerns. And this will help them do the exercise further.
Ji, Bhaiya. Thank you.
Now the next session is exploring our aspirations and concerns. So we gave that assignment, we did some illustration. Now we can do that at length during the session itself. So the assignment was to make a list of aspirations and to make a list of concerns or problems. And let us get some of the points from these lists on the board. So the students might have done the exercise by themselves, and then we can ask them to share their aspirations and concerns, and we can chalk it down on the board. And then we can go further to explore. We can also mention that you may like to include the expectations of your family and friends, as well as the hopes the nation has from you. So, like this could be aspirations to do well in college, to ensure happiness in the family. The concerns might be like tension, peer pressure, or certain things that we are not able to overcome, anger, not much time for family, or the family does not have time for me, either way. So in place of guiding them to what to write and what not to write, we can let them freely write whatever they feel like. If somebody feels that there should be another column also, then we can open that possibility also. Okay, we make another column. If you feel that you would like to mention something else, then do mention it. We'll look into it further. We'll try to resolve. So from this session itself, we can allow the students to explore freely within them, and whatever comes to them, they can note it down. So this like illustration has been made here. So aspirations could be to get some patents in their name, good marks, a job with good package, maybe to understand human values or live with human values, to do something great for the society, make parents proud, take care of parents, support family, be happy, fulfill dreams, be a good human being. So many things could be there. That could be otherwise also. And then concerns could be lack of confidence, societal anxiety, or social anxiety, overthinking, lack of discipline, time management, overwhelmed with work system, work stress, stage fear, uh, uncomfortable to express, lack of guidance, want to do many things but unable to do them, lack of concentration. So like this could be there. Now we can take little care here that if the student is trying to list something which can be disturbing for the class, okay, something which is little say sensual or something which is unethical, then we can avoid it. We can ask the student to list it for oneself and then explore further. Ji, any issue to discuss here? If you go to make that list, so what would be the issues that may come to us and we want to resolve? If you'd like to ask some question or share something here, we can discuss it. Nice. So this list is very pertinent. We'll retain this list, and maybe if we have whiteboards or blackboards, then we can spare one board for this, because we are going to go over it time and again. In all the coming sessions, basically, we are going to discuss either aspirations or concerns. So this time we have also tried to make a flow of content. So if you look at the title of the content also, it is with this kind of flow only. We are either trying to fulfill the aspirations or resolve our concerns. So we can retain this list. Let us not rub it out or let us not omit it. And if it is being made in PPT or somewhere, then we can retain that slide so that we can refer to it again and again. So we want to live a fulfilling life and we are making effort for it. So make a list of all the efforts you are making to fulfill your aspirations and to resolve your concerns. For example, I'm studying hard so that I get a degree, so that this happens or that happens. I do what my mother wants. I want to express my respect to her so that, some aspiration could be there. I'm saving my pocket money to buy a mobile for my brother so that some aspiration could be there. I'm smoking, playing video games to get attention so that, something could be there, and then I want to come out of it. So this way, we can have an extensive list. In fact, I'll say that this is not only meant for students. If we do this consistently for ourselves, so let us also make a list of aspirations and concerns for ourselves. At every stage of life, while we are able to see that the basic aspiration is to be happy and prosperous in continuity, we might have aspirations to fulfill at different phases of life. For example, somebody has a grown-up child, then the aspiration could be to get a good bride or groom for the child. So we can note it down. So let us be very real. We are not doing something theoretical. We are trying to relate whatever content is being shared here to the life of a human being. So let us first of all relate it to our life. And at a personal level, we may make a list of all the aspirations that we have. Okay, all the concerns that we have. Okay, maybe the child is appearing for board exams, right? And the child is most of the time playing video games. So that could be my concern, how to shift the attention of the child from video game to studies. Okay, or the child has graduated but not been placed. So that could be my concern. Okay, so we have to make this kind of list for ourselves and then try to explore. If we do that sincerely and we can uh, look through the content that is given here and try to see deeper and further, we can read between the words, read between the lines, so that it becomes more and more clear. We all have aspirations, we all have concerns, and we also have to evaluate our aspirations, whether they relate to the basic aspiration or not. We have to also look into our concerns and see whether our approach towards the concern is problem-centric or solution-centric. The more we involve ourselves with these exercises, the more meaningfully we can do it for the students. I hope we are able to see this. So we have to make an evaluation of effort. Yeah, Rituraj is saying, is this meeting only for lectures, teaching in college? See, basically this is for our own transformation, right? And we are helping each other transform. So when we are delivering this content to the students, we are also looking within. So through education, we are trying to transform the society, and we are doing in education at different phases. So in the first year, in the second year. So at the core is the transformation, from personal transformation to societal transformation. This is something that we have to bear within us. This is something that we have to be clear about, that it is not only a kind of session that we are going to run for limited time. This is a step towards the transformation of the whole society. The more we involve ourselves at a very deeper level, our imagination will keep on working in this direction. And then maybe we can give some more valuable suggestions how to make the content more relevant to the students. Okay, maybe we are looking at this content from our point of view, but as it is being said, no, generation Z, which is there, or sometimes we say generation G, which is there, may have a different kind of approach towards life. We may not be able to access their mode of thinking, their way of working. So we have to relate to the students more and more so that this becomes more and more relevant to the students. G. So is our effort to understand, look, so is your effort to understand your basic aspiration and fulfill them, or to understand the root cause of your concerns, problems, and resolve them, or to escape, to run away from problems, or for something else? So we can ask the students, and after having made this list. So, but first let us see if there is some basic aspiration we want to fulfill. So the effort could be studying, doing internship, attending coaching, doing articleship, doing MBA, and doing research, painting, some fine art, something. Why? If we ask ourselves, why do we study? So to become an engineer, to become a doctor, a farmer, an artist, a teacher, whatever. Maybe some person says that I want to become a con man. Okay, that is also welcome. You can write that, yes, this person wants to become a con man, right? Now, why do you want to become something? Because essentially you want to get something or do something. So I want to get money. I want to earn name and fame, do some research, some innovation. I want to take care of parents, make my family or nation proud, get power in society, earn respect, and the list could be much longer. Okay. Maybe every student has something to share. If there are 60 students, we can have a list of 60 such items. And one student can be able to share more of such things also. And maybe there are certain things in common. This is quite possible. So we are trying to help the student look into the purpose. at a deeper level. Sometimes our effort might be limited, or our concern might be limited to only doing some effort, assuming that this will fetch something for us and not very clear what it is going to fetch. But when we try to explore this, our exploration becomes deeper. So we want to do something or get something, but why do we want to do this or get this? To be something. Now, what is that? If you ask ourselves, we can see that it is to be happy and prosperous. And that also in continuity, not momentarily. So presently, it might be the case that we are moving like this. We are making some effort. Maybe we are also unaware what to become. So you have to become aware of that. Why do you want to become something? So going further, we want to get or do something. And going further, we can see that we want to be something. So which one is your basic aspiration? 1, 2, 3, or 4? This is something that we can ask and allow the student to explore. So this is our basic aspiration, and we can ask, can you see that your basic aspiration is to be happy and prosperous, and that too in continuity? Then what are these other things? These may be steps. These may be ways to fulfill the basic aspiration. Can you see that becoming something, doing something, getting something, etc., maybe just the steps to achieve your basic aspiration? Would you like to make sure that the steps definitely add up to fulfill your basic aspiration? So how do you like to plan your life? This way, being unclear whether my effort is going to really come to fruition, I can become something, or after becoming something, I can exactly do something or get something as I aspire. And at a very basic level, can I see that this is going to make me happy and prosperous in continuity? Or I have to move this way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, or 4, 3, 2, 1. What would be the right way for me? Plan the steps without being clear of your basic aspiration, or develop clarity about your basic aspiration, that is happiness and prosperity, and then work out these steps. So we can ask the students to reflect. So how are you going about in your life? Ji, Lipika ji. Didi has raised hand.
Bhaiya, namaste. I have two questions here, Bhaiya.
Namaste.
Is,
Can you be a little louder, Didi?
Can you hear me, Bhaiya?
Now I can hear you.
Okay. So I have two questions here, Bhaiya. So one is, before we are disclosing this, that our basic aspiration is to be happy and prosperous, should we be doing some more exploration here? That is one. And secondly, when we say this 4, 3, 2, 1, so once I'm clear that I want to be happy and prosperous, I feel that this 3, 2, 1 does not make any sense, because after, when I know that I want to be happy and prosperous, this sequence can be anything. This is what I feel here. So you can help me explore this.
Yeah, nice, Didi. So we have given two options here. Maybe the student is able to come up with some more options. Like one option has been shared here by Senthilji, 4, 1, 2, 3. Right? And there could be multiple other choices also. So the first part of the question that Didi was asking, so we can pause, we can let the child think whether this is the basic aspiration or not. You know? So in place of concluding this from our side, we can allow some time and then keep on asking why. This why question is very important. The more we question this in our life, in the things around, then we are able to have more and more clarity. So maybe the student is just moving with the crowd and not questioning things like this, or assuming that these questions can never be answered to one's fulfillment, and the student is letting these issues open. So we can pause and let the child think here, so that the child is able to conclude by oneself that yes, he or she wants to be happy and prosperous, and that too in continuity. Now, having decided this, then we can help the child go further and explore. So for example, if I'm able to see that I have to be happy and prosperous, okay, so what is to be done? What do I need to get? What do I need to become? What effort do I have to put in? So 4, 3, 2, 1 could be one way of going. Now, as Senthilji is saying that I would like to say 4, 1, 2, 3. This is also fine. So if I'm able to see that I want to be happy and prosperous in continuity, what effort I have to make. But you will see that when you are trying to make out that effort, in that effort again, you are trying to do or get something and you are trying to become something. So in fact, it is something like a further analysis into the effort. So if I respond to this to be happy and prosperous in continuity, what I need to do so I need to explore the reality. I need to get right understanding, isn't it? And for that, what do I need to become? And for that, what effort I have to make? So if you look at the effort at the core level, I can directly relate the effort to my basic aspiration. But if you try to look at the effort that currently we are making in terms of our studies, then this will come later. So we have to be exactly clear when the child is saying something and differing from what we are saying. What is there in the mind of the child that the child is trying to share? And if I'm clear about that, I can guide the student. Ji, Lipka Didi, is it clear?
Yeah, भैया, got it. Thank you.
Suman ji,
जी नमस्ते भैया
नमस्ते दीदी.
भैया just this is to not in terms of clarity for content but I in the exploration when I went by this, you know, the ultimate goal of human being is to be happy. Then what happened, the way I articulated and got confused and get confused also sometime, although with here and there clarity, is like, so when I realized I'm not happy, then I became more sad because by this notion I read that I'm not happy. So then I realized the way I interpreted it and the way I have been articulating was wrong. So me just making this as an objective was not really helping me, and it took me longer to understand what does it mean. um, so,
Yeah,
so so that what happened, that I also articulated the way I have understood, I also articulated the way to the students. But still there is no clarity when we say the ultimate. So the thing is, often when I feel oh I'm not happy, or I observe my emotion, which we know that all the time we have something which is should not be there and we are working on it, so that kind of dilutes my learning, or because I see oh what is my objective and now I'm not happy like that way. So if you can help me with this also.
yeah. So there's something to be understood here. Use the word ultimate. And if you see, we have not used the word ultimate here. We are calling it basic. So sometimes this word ultimate gives us a sense that this has to come at the end of the journey. So this is not something to come at the end of the journey. This is my basic aspiration, and that means I'm aspiring for it every moment. This is one thing to note. Second thing, that when I am able to see my basic aspiration and I'm able to see that I'm not in a happy state, so I may become more unhappy. But still, this is better than ignoring my unhappiness or ignoring the problems or the issues which are making me unhappy. So, for example, a person has a disease, okay, and the person is unaware. So the person may feel comfortable. Now he or she goes to the doctor and doctor says that you have this kind of disease. The person may become, very uncomfortable. But if the person is not told that this kind of disease is there, then it will worsen and it will have a worse impact on the health in the time to come. So it's better that we become aware of our aspiration, we become aware of our concerns, and we become active from this moment itself.
जी भैया, जी भैया.
Nice, Didi. So is the present program working for you? So are we able to see that my present program is actually going to ensure happiness and prosperity or not? This is something that we have to explore. So now that we can distinguish between basic aspiration and the steps, the ways to fulfill them, find out what would be appropriate if your favorite way is closed. Now you can see that there are many students who come to the campus and they are little unhappy. They may be aspiring for some elite institute and they could not uh, uh, compete for that examination. So they may feel unhappy about it. They may feel depressed or they may feel low. Okay. So a very important thing here is that, and in the same elite institution also, if they did not get the department of their choice, right? So that may again depress them. So we can see ourselves and we can explain to the students that to fulfill this basic aspiration, there could be so many ways. It's not just one way to go about it. Okay, so we can make efforts in different directions. There are so many choices to become something. Okay, and we may have to do or get something in a variety of ways. So if one path is closed, then the other path may be still open. And the second thing to note is that the path that I had chosen earlier, that may not be leading to the basic aspiration also, because I chose it without being clear about it. I had not explored about it. So both the things can be opened. First of all, the way I was aspiring that if I go to this elite institute, my life is going to be happy forever, but I had not explored it. Second thing, to lead a life of happiness forever, right? There could be multiple ways. Even it may be the case that going to an elite institute is not actually the way. The way is something else. So we can come to the basics, right? We can see ourselves and show the students that to ensure a life of happiness and prosperity, basically we have to develop our right understanding. This is something which we are going to discuss in the coming sessions. So it may be that the imagination is working otherwise. It is not actually working the direction which can ensure happiness and prosperity in continuity. So some examples are listed here, and I'll not read them out, but we can share this. So what will you do if your favorite way is closed? Be unhappy, depressed, try to escape from unhappiness, become inactive, or find an alternative way and make effort for it. This is something that we can ask to the students. So this could be one way as we propose here, right? And we can discuss the basic requirements to be happy and prosperous in the next session. So we can sum it up, all that has been discussed in the session, and then we can give a home assignment. So write your conclusions or takeaways from the exploration in this session. Is your basic aspiration really happiness and prosperity, only sometimes or every moment? Is your effort fulfilling your basic aspiration? Think about some of the situations where your favorite path was closed, and what did you feel or think or do in these situations, and write down any one of them in detail. And then we can advise the students to make one notebook where they keep on noting regularly. So now this is the third session, and we can have some interaction before the main session. So that is something to do with the assignment that the student had been given in the previous session. So I go over fast over the content, that we generally share in the introductory workshop or UHV2. Now something which was to be discussed in detail for UHV1 at least. So I elaborated in detail. Now we can talk about the basic human aspiration and its fulfillment. So are happiness and prosperity really our basic aspiration? And what is needed to fulfill these aspirations? So through this exploration, we'll also see what this UHV1 course is about. It will help to answer questions like, why are we doing this course? What do I need to do further to fulfill my basic aspiration, to address my concerns? So this is something that we run in every workshop, to get to see the basic requirements to be happy and prosperous. So I'll just run over the slides. No need to even read it. We all are well acquainted with this. The same content is here. Only thing is that when we are referring to the students, we are giving the second option as studying hard. Generally, when we talk to the faculty, we do not keep the sentence like this. Here we are keeping it like this. We generally say that our effort is only for an accumulation of physical facility. And here we are saying studying hard only for earning money, ensuring physical facility. So this is one change here. Now, again, this is the same content that we generally share. No changes here. And then we sum up. Then we give the home assignment. In the assignment, again, the student has to take up the aspiration and concern and try to relate it to right understanding, relationship, and physical facility. Now, for this exercise, we need to have clarity. So it may appear at times that the same aspiration is connected to all these right understanding as well as relationship as well as physical facility. Then two things we have to look into. One is the purpose, right? And while looking into the purpose, we can see to which of these is it closely related. Okay, and this may vary from person to person. So one may need money to develop right understanding. One may need money to help one's family member. One may need money to enjoy wealth. So the child has to relate it to oneself and try to see, for me, this aspiration is connected closely either to right understanding or relationship or physical facility. So as a faculty also, we have to be little clear about this while doing this exercise. In fact, these exercises need little bit of practice from our side also. We do this by ourselves and we ask questions if we are not clear. So here, if you see, we have put tick mark in only one of the columns. Okay. So we have to look into the purpose and then we have to see to which of these is it closely related. If it appears that it is related to relationship as well as physical facility, then we go further and see the purpose. Okay, and try to make out. But let me say that this exercise is not that much kind of having clarity, right? So this is just to draw attention. The purpose of this exercise is to draw attention that there are three basic requirements. Let us not delve into this too deeper. Otherwise, we'll also not have responses to that. For example, if somebody is saying good health, now for good health, if my relationship is not good, then how will I have good health? If I do not have right understanding, then how will I have good health? So things like this will come up. So the purpose of this exercise is to draw attention to the three basic requirements. That's all. And to be able to see how they are different, right? So this part has to be clear to us. And when the students are asking deeper questions, then we can say that as we go further, we try to understand human being, we try to understand the self. This will become more and more clear. So need not invest too much of time on this exercise. Just give a glimpse and try to make out every time that are you able to see that there are three different basic requirements and they have a correct priority. Then we can also make an assessment of the time and effort that the student is investing. So for example, the student has 24 hours in a day. We can assume that the child is sleeping for 8 hours. Then how do we distribute the 16 hours? Okay, and what is the purpose? So maybe the college work is there. I'm spending 10 hours for that. Now 1 hour is going for right understanding, 2 hours for talking, 7 hours for learning skills, things like that. It may not be the same on every day. Maybe the college is working from Monday to Friday, and on Saturdays and Sundays, okay, the routine is different. Then there also we can see that the child is able to make out how the child is investing time in a day. The purpose is not to be very articulative about 7 hours or 7.5 hours. That is not the core purpose. To make that table, and it is not something universal. It is not something that is going to be there for the child on every day. But the purpose is to draw attention whether I am spending time for right understanding or not. Isn't it? If I am using social media, whether I'm trying to learn some skill there, whether I'm trying to make friends there, or I'm trying to gain right understanding there. Okay, so the purpose of this session is to draw the attention to the purpose that the child has, okay, and relate it to the basic aspiration. So again, we'll give this exercise, but keep on harping on the point that you have to look into the purpose for yourself.
Reinforcing, not happy.
Pardon? Yeah.
Reinforcing.
Yeah, reinforcing, yes. Yeah, then we can invite questions. जी निरुपम जी.
जी नमस्ते भैया.
नमस्ते दी.
जी नमस्ते सभी को. भैया, हाउ sleeping is for physical facility?
Yeah, so if something relates to body, we are including this in physical facility because body is physical. So there would be questions like sometimes when we are conducting this session also, no, the people say that, or the participants say that there's another requirement, health. Where do we place it? So we say that health is a natural outcome of right understanding coupled with physical facility. So when I'm sleeping also, I'm trying to ensure health because giving rest to the body is a part of health. So it is something to do with the physical facility. when we are able to see very clearly that yes, I am the self, not the body, this becomes more clear. But here we can just try to give a simile to the child and help one explore that this could be there.
Okay, Bhaiya.
Nice.
Thank you.
Now in session 4, we are discussing about the program for fulfillment. So this exercise had been done earlier. Okay. Now we can go further. We can mention.
This exercise was given in the homework, and now in this session we do the discussion on that.
Yes, we can do the discussion here. And then we can share the takeaways. So the takeaway is that the child is able to see that there are 3 basic requirements and there is a priority among them, right? So the child may be missing out the priority for understanding and relationship in one's life and focusing primarily on physical facility. So this kind of shift can be ensured in the imagination of the child. Our aspiration may be closely related to any of right understanding, fulfillment, relationship, and physical facility, but to fulfill the basic aspiration of happiness and prosperity in continuity, right understanding comes as the first priority. Then we can illustrate with some examples. And then we can say that, can you see that for fulfillment of your basic aspiration, right understanding is essential and comes as the first priority. So the core part is to draw attention to right understanding as being the first priority. Having explored that there are 3 requirements, out of those 3 also, the first requirement is right understanding. Then we can go further for the home assignment. Find out how much time and effort you are putting in every day in these 3 areas other than sleeping. And then the child can make out for oneself. Like this, you can make an overall assessment of how you are spending time every day. So I suggest here that you make this kind of articulation for yourself also. We all as co-explorers. In fact, I have also done this for myself. So while I was discussing this exercise with Rajul Bhaiya, I did it for myself mentally that yes, how much time I am investing for what purpose. So let us do this. In fact, before making the child do any kind of exercise, we have to do this for ourselves. And then we can see what could be the points of confusion here. What could be the gray areas here where I'm not clear? Okay. Can this formulation be accepted as it is by the student, or the student may add something more to it? Right. For example, one common question, as I mentioned, that somebody would like to add health to the 3 basic requirements as the 4th requirement. So if someone asks something like this, or as the way Nirupam Didi was saying, that how can sleeping be related to physical facility? So those finer points have to be clear to us. So let us do this kind of exercise for oneself, be very clear within oneself. So maybe on a working day, we can find out how much time we are investing. On a weekend or a holiday, how we are spending the time. And actually how much time we are spending in a week for right understanding, how much time we are investing in a week for actually sharing the feeling within relationship, not just doing the daily transactions, right? Are we investing time to share the feeling? How much time we are investing for just production of physical facility, and how much time we are investing for preserving the physical facility that we already have? Are we really doing that or not? So try to make that assessment for yourself. So we can say that right understanding is essentially the core of education. And when it comes to fulfilling the relationship with human being or the rest of nature, it becomes our sanskar. So values have higher priority over skills. Then we can go to discuss further the process of self-exploration. Let me say that in the RP development session today, we had a very good discussion on this process of self-verification. Then we can define happiness and unhappiness. Okay, we can also distinguish between happiness and excitement. And already, if we have been conducting sessions with the students in the courses, or we are conducting sessions in online programs or face-to-face workshops, we are already acquainted with the examples that we have to take. Now we have made some change here, so that I would like to share in detail. So If it is the case of excitement, so what could be the examples? So in fact, I will focus more on the changes that have been made in the slides. So eating delicious food, listening to favorite music, getting appreciation for looks, voice, clothes, watching a thriller movie, favorite team winning a match, so many things. So you can see that such things are either giving pleasure from favorable sensation or giving us attention, appreciation from others, right? And I may not be having the sense of responsibility here. Now, the problem associated with this kind of program is that I am depending on something outside for my happiness, and the happiness that I get is temporary. It is also not definite. I may or may not get, and certainly it cannot continue. So what do I do next? Then if I go further to fulfill myself through this, okay, if I try to continue my happiness through this excitement, then I'll keep on doing more and more things, changing things from time to time so that I keep on remaining happy. So it becomes a kind of indulgence for me. So watching movies for long hours, right? Playing video games for whole night, partying with friends, long drives, addiction to smoking, alcohol, drugs. Now, addiction to smoking or alcohol could either be a way out for oneself to come out of depression, or it could also be a part of indulgence in the name of friendship, in the name of sensual pleasure. It could be there. And again, we have no responsibility. Now, if I am in a depression state of depression, then insufficient pleasure from favorable sensation is there. There is lack of attention, appreciation from others. There is a state of hopelessness, lack of responsibility is there. Examples could be I did not get good marks, my friend ignored me, and this may lead to anger, refusing food, overeating, becoming reclusive, that is living in isolation, having suicidal thoughts, not sharing, not communicating. Okay. Here again, so these two possibilities are there, excitement and depression. We have also tried to add some emojis here to make it more friendly to the student who is listening to this content. So what do I do next? So there I was trying to indulge, here I try to escape. So I do go for overeating or oversleeping, or I may again switch to alcohol, smoking or things like that. So this kind of possibility is there. Now, the student can see very much that neither excitement nor depression is naturally acceptable. What is acceptable naturally is the state of harmony. So with this fluctuation in life, one has to shift to happiness. That is to ensure harmony within. And that is only possible through right understanding, right feeling. For that, I have to become responsible. And here we can see that if I'm able to ensure happiness from within, it is going to continue. It is definite. There will be no fluctuations, or at least the fluctuations will get reduced. And certainly there is no dependence on anything outside. So this is our desired state, right? So we have to draw the attention of the student from left side to right side. Now it may be the case that the student is assuming success, okay, or achievement on the left hand side. From there, one has to shift to the right hand side. Then we can define prosperity. We have added one example here. Do you want to be a billionaire or a prosperous person? Or maybe a pertinent question, ask yourself. This is something that we have added this time, and maybe we are going to add this kind of question in our introductory workshop also. Are you sure that by becoming a billionaire, you are going to be happy in continuity? So this part has been added. Rest of the things are the same. Then we can again reiterate this. And then we can sum up. The sum up is something similar. I will not go about reading it. And then the home assignment. So list out all the programs you make during a day to make you happy. Find out if the happiness you derive from these programs is definite and continuous, or is it indefinite or short-lived. Identify those programs that result in continuous happiness. And then one can observe the frequency of fluctuation. Now, this is something that we can do at a personal level also. It may be the case that while we are co-exploring, we also keep on fluctuating between excitement and depression. Isn't it? Like feeling high and feeling low. And something from outside is influencing me. I'm dictated by something outside. So we can make a list of all such things. What do I do for excitement? What do I do when I feel depressed? And what could be the way out? The more sincerely we do this kind of exercise for ourselves, we can share it more meaningfully to the students. So again, like we can give some assignment like this. This is something similar to what we generally share. So classify the aspiration into 4 categories. Now your aspiration relates to the individual or family, or society or nature, and also your concerns. And the next session will discuss the aspirations and concerns at the individual level. So this is all that is there in this session. Any questions I can respond to? Now we come to session 5. So fulfillment aspirations at the individual level. And then we'll have the next session for resolution of concerns. So here we are discussing the harmony at the level of individual. Interaction before the session would be like discussion about the assignment. Okay, now we are going to discuss aspirations and concerns at the individual level. So we open with the discussion. For fulfillment of our aspirations and resolution of concerns at the individual level, we need to understand the individual, that is human being. And when we understand ourselves, we are able to make out our needs clearly and also the definite program to fulfill our needs. So is human being merely the body or something more than that? Let us explore this. So now here we have animated. Earlier it used to appear in one glance. Now here we have animated. So human being is there. We can see that the body is there. We can also see that self is there. Now here we can pause and let the child think. Are you there or not? Is only body there or something called self is also there? Who feels happy? You or your body? Who feels hungry? You or your body? Something like that. And then we can try to show that how the two are coexisting. Then we can ask some questions here. Who needs food? Who needs respect? Who needs clothes? Who feels happy or sad? And then here we can spend some time trying to draw the attention to the self and body separately. Okay, so it may be the case that we have not discussed about self and body separately, but the child has some hint that yes, self also does exist. Maybe through preconditioning or through someone's own exploration, the child has been able to make it out. Then we can open it up. We can talk about the need of the self and need of the body. Okay. And then we can ask, are these needs of the same type or different type? Are we able to fulfill both or only the need of the body? And what is the priority? So we have to show that the fulfillment of needs of the self holds a higher priority. For that, we can give some examples. For example, respect and food, right? Then we can talk about the program to fulfill this need. So it is fulfilled by right understanding, right feeling, while this is fulfilled by only physiochemical things. So can you see that both the types of needs have to be understood separately and fulfilled separately? When we mix up the two, we are in trouble. So in this session, we're not going to talk about the activities. We'll directly go to this slide. So by assuming the self to be the body, we mix up the two. So we need respect, but the body needs physical facility. And then this physical facility is limited. And we try to make it unlimited to fulfill the need for continuous happiness in terms of respect. And then we are caught up in this loop. So this is something similar. Now I will open up briefly about the self here. So here also you will see that the schematic representation has been changed somewhat. So I can see that the body is there. I can also see that I am there. And within me, I can see that imagination is there. So I expect to be respected. I think I'm special. I desire to be a billionaire. I feel like taking revenge. This is all going on in imagination. So what we have tried to do here, we have tried to relate those words which come later, like expectation, thought, or desire, and try to list them out here so that the child starts thinking on those lines. Now, basically, this imagination guides my behavior or work. And I have the natural acceptance here, which is to be happy, to be prosperous, to have the feeling of relationship. So is there a dialogue between the two or not? So this whole representation is something new. We are sharing it in a different manner here. Now, having said this, we can show how the dialogue is essential. Okay. So I have the natural acceptance for feeling of relationship. So in my imagination, if I have feeling of relationship, there is harmony. If there is feeling of opposition, then there is disharmony, contradiction, and I feel unhappy. So now we can draw the attention to another word here, intention and competence. So you can say that this is my basic aspiration, the desired state. This is my intention. but the imagination is my current state, my level of competence at this point of time. So is my natural acceptance guiding the imagination or not? So maybe we can look at this more closely so that the new kind of schematic representation is clear to us. So our feeling imagination may keep on fluctuating. When our feeling imagination is guided by natural acceptance, we are in harmony within, we are happy. Else it is not definite. So we can sum it up, right? I will not go about reading this. This is something clear to us. And then we give the home assignment. So could you see that you have two types of needs, a continuous need and a temporary need, and look into that list of aspirations that you made and try to classify into those aspirations two categories. Aspirations related to body like food and aspirations related to self like name and fame. Which aspirations are prominent? Aspirations related to the self or to the body? Then reflect on how you are trying to fulfill the needs related to the self. What is your takeaway from this exploration? Can you see that something is going on in your imagination? Can you see that when you have a feeling that is naturally acceptable to you, you are in harmony, happy? Is the program for fulfillment of your aspirations and resolution of your concerns at the individual level clearer through this exploration? These all questions have been reframed, so I'm reading them out. Now here we are trying to draw the attention closer to the imagination in the child. Okay, so the way we are trying to draw the attention to our own imagination in the morning exercise, something similar, not exactly the exercise, but we are trying to draw attention to the imagination. What is going on in the imagination? So
Kumar, we forgot to add here that can you see that you have a natural acceptance?
okay,
we can add that. Okay.
Now, having discussed the aspirations at the individual level, now we can go further to discuss the concerns and how we can resolve them. So here we are going to talk about harmonying the self in further detail. So we can see that the running thread is aspirations and concerns. So again, we can have the interaction before the main session, and then we can talk about the resolution of concern. One concern could be peer pressure. Here we have added a lot more content, so I'll go about discussing it in somewhat detail. So fine, introduction part is there. This part has been discussed. Now we come to that original diagram that we generally have. Okay, and here these two blocks have been added. Okay, trying to relate the slide to the previous content. And then something similar, which we run through in the introductory workshop also. And we have given some examples here. So try to find out what is the source of desire here. Food for health, food for taste, food for show off. I think we are going to add up these slides in the introductory and UHV-2 workshop PPTs also, because that will really help. At least those of us who are conducting the session for the first time or we are beginners, this may help because we are able to get more and more examples through this kind of illustration. Similarly, mobile for communication or knowledge, mobile for entertainment, mobile for status, we can give illustration like this and then related to natural acceptance or sensation or preconditioning. Now we have made a list of preconditioning and sensations here on the left-hand side. So we can say that the list could be much longer. Okay. So money is everything. Human being is merely the body. Success is getting ahead of others. Speaking in a particular language fetches respect. Freedom is using foul language. Exclusive clothes needed to be the center of attraction. Show off is needed to survive in the society. Latest gadgets are status symbols. If I don't do like others, I will be isolated. I will be left behind. The struggle for survival, only the fittest can survive. You have to be selfish to survive. Eat, drink, and make merry. Make money, have fun. No one is trustworthy, and the longer list could be there. So this is something that we have tried to list out as illustrations of preconditioning and sensation. So what is the outcome? Because we are trying to discuss the concerns and the resolution of concerns, so we have to talk about the outcome also. So it's not directly mapped. Let me mention here, let us be very clear that we have not mapped it directly. Okay, it could be a coupling of so many preconditioning that is leading to one particular outcome. So peer pressure, stress, procrastination, wastage of time, indulgence, addiction, extravagance, poor health, domination, fear, anger, overthinking, negative thinking, depression, self-harming, suicidal thoughts, Now this new kind of problem has come up in the society, self-harming. The students are cutting their nerves, they are scratching their faces. And this become our concerns. Okay, once we get affected by these kinds of preconditionings and we run into these situations, it becomes our concerns. And we can see that these kind of concerns sometimes become very prominent. Okay, we get news that the child has been playing video game and lost money, and for the sake of getting more and more money from the parents, the child is killing the parents. So these are certainly concerns at the individual level, and this may become concerns of society also if the education is not giving the right kind of content to the students. So from your list of concerns, pick any one concern and find out the preconditioning or sensation that is underlying that concern. Then find out what is naturally acceptable to you, and we'll explore if this provides a resolution of that concern or not. So we'll take one example, that is peer pressure. So what could be the underlying preconditioning? Here again, we have made some list here, but the child may add more and more to this. For example, I will be accepted by my peers only if I speak in a particular language because it fetches respect. Use foul language, it is needed to fit in to my friend circle. Wear fashionable clothes, then I will like them. Eat and drink like them, so they will not think I am different. Be extravagant, it is essential to keep up to their standards so that I am related to them. And so many could be there. The child has to look into one's own imagination and find out what is there as an assuming in the child, the conditioning in the child. So by living according to the preconditionings, we can ask, is it definite that you will be happy? And can it ensure the continuity of happiness or not? What do you think? If you ask these kinds of pertinent things, the child is very much able to relate to this content. And then they are able to see that we are not preaching something in the name of morals. We are talking something very substantial, very basic. And that message has to go during the SIP only. So what could be the resolution here? So the resolution is paying attention to the natural acceptance, developing right understanding about human, leading to clarity about self and body, that is need of the self, need of the body, and the sources of imagination, developing right understanding about relationship, leading to right feeling, such as trust and respect. Now we can just give one example here, like with right understanding, we are able to see trust as the foundation of every relationship. And similarly, we are able to ensure other feelings. This understanding helps us come out of peer pressure. So understanding of relationship, understanding of the need of the self and the body, this helps us come out of peer pressure. And we can say that when we talk about relationship in session 8, we'll discuss about this further. And then this diagram, original diagram can be shared. Then this can be shared. So imagination completely in line with natural acceptance. This is important to show. Otherwise, we are only dealing with the problems and the efforts to get rid of problems. And if you are not sharing what would be the real state, what would be the net outcome of all this effort, right? When we understand, then the child does not have that clarity. So some illustration here has been made. Partial harmony in the self, so this kind of state would be there. When there is complete harmony in the self, then this kind of state would be there. Now here you do not have to read out this D, D1, D2, D3 and all this. We can say that this is something which illustrates how harmony can be there. Otherwise, a kind of randomness in our imagination and thoughts is there. And then you can sum it whole up. Nice. I'll not go over it again. Then the assignment is take your list of concerns at the individual level. Now the child has to pick any one concern. Maybe the peer pressure is not a concern for me. Okay. My concern could be the health of my parents or the poor economic condition of my parents. And then I have to see how can I get resolved. So in the next session, the child can come up with that concern and discuss it in detail. Nice. Now the last part of the session here, session 7, that is ensuring health holistically. Yeah, here again, we have not added much content. It is something similar to what we originally had. So interaction before the main session. So we'll discuss about this assignment. We can take some concern of the child, as I mentioned, one example here, and discuss in detail. And for this, doing this meaningfully, we have to be clear. The example can come from anywhere. Okay, unless I am very clear about the source of desire there or the source of concern there, right? I may not be able to resolve the child. So for doing these exercises meaningfully, and these are very important, we cannot list out everything here. If we try to do this at our own personal level, we can list our own concern and try to see from where this concern is coming and what could be the resolution for this. Then that will help us do a very enriching exercise for the student. Yeah, one hand is raised, but what I'll do, I'll just go over the content and then take up the question. So ensuring health holistically. So we all aspire to stay healthy and are concerned about our being, about being ill. So when we understand human being comprehensively, we have the feeling of responsibility towards the body. We are able to make out the right program to keep the body in harmony and stay healthy. So the content that we shared earlier, that same content has to be shared here. I'll not read it out. We all are acquainted with this. Now this question has been added. Basically, this will go as a poll. Okay. So, or maybe no, this part has to be asked and something else will go as a poll. So with a feeling of self-regulation, health of the body can be restored. Without this feeling, even a healthy body can become unhealthy. This is something that we can ask the student. And then we can ask them how many times you feel sick in the past 1 month and what was the reason. And we can allow 5 to 10 minutes of time here. Okay, so that the child can list out. So this is something that we already share in the sessions. So all I have to ensure is to have the continuity of that harmony, at least not disturb it. With the feeling of responsibility toward the body, I do what is required for fulfilling that responsibility. This ensures health in the body. Now this will go as a poll. So maybe we have to make this kind of change. But yeah, I think no, we had to add this in the poll.
We'll put it in that box, in the bottom box kind of thing. We'll put it there. Yeah.
Out of self-regulation and health, which holds the higher priority for you? Having the feeling of self-regulation or having a healthy body to start with? So we can share that if I have the feeling of self-regulation, I can make an unhealthy body healthy. But if I lack this feeling, then I can turn a healthy body into an unhealthy body. And that's how this comes at the higher priority. So the program to ensure health. Okay, now here what we have done as something new is we have animated here. But yeah, this can be removed, animate B and then C.
It doesn't happen automatically.
So we can share this program for staying healthy, and then we can say that this comes next and this comes at the end. If what A and B do not suffice, then only have to go for C. And about intake, we can discuss in detail. This is something similar to what we have been sharing. In fact, if time permits, we can go about discussing in detail, or we can just show to them. Then we can also talk about the circadian rhythm. We can show to them how the nature regulates our body. Okay, and if we go by that, we are going to be healthier. This is also something to be shared as a poll. I think we have to make some changes in this PPT via that has got left out. Then labor and exercise. So here we have added some examples: participating in household chores, production activities, sweeping and swabbing your room or house or hostel, kitchen gardening, cycling to your college and back. And if you are not doing this, then we can compensate for the lack of labor here. Then postures and breathing, we have added this resonant breathing this time, so that it may not appear that we are only talking about the practices in India. This is something which is common to the rest of the world also. Then we can talk about medicine and treatment. And then this particular slide will appear. This will also go as a poll. So now, having discussed about the health of the body, we can talk about holistic perspective of health. So we can say that we need to have a healthy self, healthy body, and healthy environment. So we talked about the healthy self, that is a self with a feeling of harmony. Then we talked about healthy body, and going further, we'll talk about healthy environment also. We'll talk about family, society, and nature resistance. So this will give a glimpse of what is going to follow. And then we can have some further discussion about the food habits, daily routine, collective labor, collective exercise, home remedies. So what we can do for the hostel, for the mess, for the canteen, for the fruit stall or juice stall, and then the home assignment. So this is something similar. Are you able to see that feeling of responsibility toward the body is required for your health to be ensured? To reflect on the program for health, are you able to see that are you able to see the significance of the intake and daily routine? Is the topic of staying healthy necessary to be included in your education in campus life or not? And then we can ask them to share some ways and give some suggestions. So this was there in the 7th session. Yeah, I think now we can have questions. So today we have shared the first 7 lectures in the SIP. In the next part on May 11, we'll discuss about the next 8 lectures.